now go on to our next speaker, Dr. Smita Kapoor Gaurav, who is anterior segment surgeon with pediatric and neuro-ophthalmology services too. And she is going to tell us something very different from all that she has learned across the years, how to integrate a pharmacy in an eye hospital. And I'm sure, like all our other speakers, she's going to do a great job of this. On to you.
Good evening to all. At the outset, I'd like to thank AIOS ARC for giving me the opportunity to be here today. I'll be talking on how to integrate a pharmacy in an eye, covering the talk under the main key points, whether to have a pharmacy or not. Once the decision of having one is made, then whether to outsource it or to run it yourself. And once you decide to have a pharmacy, then how to start a pharmacy, what computer softwares are available, how to manage the stock, and how to make the pharmacy profitable. So the purpose of having a pharmacy is that the patients receive the right medicine at the right time by an efficient and economical system. So coming to the first question, whether to incorporate a pharmacy or not. So if the daily patient OPD inflow is good, then incorporating a pharmacy can be financially viable. Example, if a solo practitioner does not have a good daily OPD, then one should not have a pharmacy. However, if there is an OPD of a good 20 to 25 patients, then in a solo practice, and especially in a bigger group practice or in a corporate setup, a pharmacy is a key requirement. The second thing is space. As for a drug license, you require to have a space of about 10 square meters, that is roughly 100 square feet. So if there is a constraint of space, then a pharmacy cannot be planned. Also, for a drug license, a registered pharmacist is required, and an additional person is usually needed to manage the inventory, order drugs, return the expired products, and manage the pharmacy if the pharmacist is on leave. So keeping the above points in mind, if the electricity, space, and manpower cost can be compensated by the sales, then there should be no two thoughts about establishing a pharmacy. So the next question is whether to outsource it or run it yourself. So an outsourced pharmacy reduces your effort on designing, branding, managing the staff, and maintaining the drug inventory. However, then you cannot prescribe drugs of your own choice. On the other hand, if you manage your pharmacy, then you can initially start with minimum inventory. You can prescribe what you want to. But the flip side is you have to design the place, get purchase licenses, employ a pharmacist, and you have to keep track of how many drugs are in stock, how many are near expiry, which brands you want to keep, and which ones are going to be most profitable. The next question is how to start a pharmacy. We have an in-house pharmacy and we manage it ourselves. So I'll be covering a few key points as to how to start a pharmacy. That is how to obtain a drug license, where the pharmacy should be located, what computer softwares are there, how to store the drugs, and how to make the pharmacy profitable. Since we are in Delhi, I'll be talking about how to get a drug license in Delhi. This process differs from state to state, but is fairly similar everywhere. The application form has to be downloaded from the website of the Drugs Control Department, which regulates the sales of retail drugs. The guidelines are enlisted on the website and are in accordance with the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. The documents that are required include the duly filled Form 19, site plan of the premises, ID proofs of the director of the firm, and details of the pharmacist. After submitting the documents and making online payments, the area of the clinic is audited, and finally, Form 21 is granted for a period of 5 years, and this has to be renewed every 5 years. Once the drug license is obtained, a GST license also has to be obtained by giving them the drug license copy, photo ID proofs, shop rent agreements, and the shop map blueprint copies. So next we come to the basic requirements that we need to build a pharmacy. These include racks to store the drugs and refrigerators to keep special drugs, a computer with printer, and a software along with the pharmacist and an inventory. So there are a number of softwares that can be used. These include Tally Prime, eHospital, and many others. The one which we use is called Visual InfoSoft. This is a complete hospital software which covers billing, inventory management, accounting, and connecting with suppliers for orders. So the location of the pharmacy is also very important. The location should be close to the exit of the clinic. In our setup, we print the prescription at the pharmacy, so the waiting time reduces and we do not lose patients who have been prescribed medicines. Storage of drugs has to be done in a very specific manner. Either the drugs can be placed alphabetically, or fast moving items like lubricants, antibiotics, and steroids can be placed close by. All categories should be clearly marked, such as drops, ointments, capsules, and tablets. NABH recommends placing look-alike or sound-alike drops together. Example, Gentil and Gentil gel can be kept together as they sound the same, or Nevanek and Pataday can be kept together as they look the same. It should be a prerogative to make the pharmacy profitable. The growth of the pharmacy depends on how well it is maintained and how politely the staff interacts with the patients. Most drug companies give a margin of about 35 to 40%, and which can also go up to 50 to 60% depending on the scheme that the pharma companies offer. So if the patient load is good, then pharmacies usually turn out to be a profitable venture. So I'd conclude by saying that the pharmacy, if maintained and managed well, can become profitable. This would add to the services of the clinic or hospital and also increase the patient retention. However, if the patient load is less, then incorporating a pharmacy may be detrimental. Thank you all for your attention.
Yes, that was a wonderful talk and very crisp and very informative. Annaga, would you have any question to ask?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, even we are having a pharmacy for the last many years. I had one question where you mentioned one of the cons of outsourcing is you don't have the right to prescribe the drug of your choice or keep. We have outsourced it, but we are using whatever drugs we want. So I just wanted some clarification on that point.
Ma'am, they allow you to prescribe what you want, but then whatever margin they have on the drugs, they prefer to keep those. Like for lubricants, if we have 10 drugs and we want to prescribe one of them, then they might just give some other drops.
So I think maybe the understanding that you have with the chemist has to be such that you don't prescribe 100 or 200 brands. You decide what say 10 brands or 15 brands, and then you keep the stock of that, so that neither the chemist suffers and nor you have to compromise on anything. So I think one thing is we should not compromise on what we want to prescribe, number one. At the same time, it is another vertical, so definitely it's a good source of revenue, no doubt at all. Plus, in our case, now especially in the new premises, we have it actually, it is on the road facing directly. So you not only have your own in-house patients, but also the outside patients who come and take. So it's not just the ophthalmic products, but also the general products that they are keeping. So it's a win-win situation. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that is another way of looking at it. But we've stuck to our ophthalmic products. But I think every one of you looking at private practice should definitely staff the resources which are there in optical and in pharmacy and get the best out of it. And as Anaga said, keep fewer products and ensure that there is no confusion which is happening in the sale of these products. And the most important point is you should audit them, because it has happened in one of our centers that we did find that if you have delayed, there's been a delay in auditing a particular center, even the apparently looking very innocent staff could find that there is some inefficiency there. So please ensure that you are all the time auditing and all the time having a foolproof system of going about doing your things. And would the Dr. Tityal or Dr. Gaurav have anything to add before we conclude?
Ma'am, I wanted to just add that again, as we thought initially that pharmacies were again not business to be done by the hospital, but today I think it's a very important part, because not only does it make very convenient for the patients to actually get what you prescribe, because with the hundreds of brands and companies available now, what we prescribe is, patients also trust that when they're buying from that place, they'll get everything and they'll get everything right. That's one thing. The other thing is, of course, it's also profitable to the hospital, because there is that benefit of having a pharmacy in-house. I just wanted to ask one thing, like what our experience is that while outsourcing opticals has been very easy for us, outsourcing pharmacy has always been a challenge, because it tends to become very difficult to outsource it. So you end up kind of having to run the pharmacy yourself if you want to really, do this well. So I wanted to ask, are there people like Ben Franklin or Titan Eye Care or, few of the others which are doing an excellent job of, outsourced optical showrooms? Are there also similar models of outsourcing ophthalmic pharmacies?
I'm sure nowadays there are these individuals who are coming forward and tying up with different doctors and ensuring that the drugs which they are producing, they are sold to these doctors, and those medicines are being prescribed. So I'm sure if you approach them, they might be able to put you on to a pharmacist or something, or you could come
I think
to an arrangement with them.
it only works on individual levels. I mean, you
Individual
can kind
level
of tie
only.
up with somebody to run it.
Individual level.
The challenge is that there will be, substitutions. There will be lots of practices which will happen, which you will not be able to control.
See, one thing is now you should have access to their software, number one, and number two, you should have a MOU signed that you can, access their accounts and their software and their data at any point of time. And that transparency has to be maintained. They should be daily updating, just like in Ben Franklin or any other opticals, daily updating. They send you on a daily DSR, and then a monthly proper statistical analysis. So it should not be a problem. It's very, very difficult to manage the inventory and then the expiry date and all that. It takes up a lot of your mind space and time. I mean, you should have a dedicated person for a sole person.
The income which comes through a pharmacy is phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely
specifically
phenomenal.
Appoint a person for it, and it is once you get to understand it, spend a little bit of time. Believe me, that's a very profitable business, and in a very ethical manner you could run it too. You could actually give this 1:1 and many more advantages to your patients too, if you want to be philanthropic there. And I think it is definitely, these are part and parcel of, just like Dr. Tityal had said, how it is important that each of these are, the only thing, if it's within us, we can run it in a very scientific and ethical and a clinical